Salutations and shit, folks. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite travel podcast, Travel and Shit, where I, your host, D. Carey, have an experiential conversation about the nuanced ways that travel intersects with regular life. Um, First of all, I'm happy to be back. Um, If you are watching on the YouTubes, you may actually notice a little something new. I actually just uploaded the last episode from February, and I actually wore it then. I'm engaged, y'all. Um, my partner and I are engaged, and he did such a beautiful job with the ring. So if you want to see my ring, get on the YouTubes, watch the episode. I can't stop looking at it. I hate taking it off at night. And for like the first 2 weeks, I was very excited to wake up in the morning so I can put my shit back on. Um, but I am engaged. Um, he proposed on February 12th. So I got to go into Valentine's Day as a fiance. And I also got to embark on our most recent travels as a fiance as well. So thank you for your patience on my absence over the last 2 weeks on YouTube, but last week in terms of audio. Um, I contemplated doing a mobile episode, like a remote episode while we were out there. And I realized that I just wanted to rest because I knew that the next couple of months and weeks coming up would be packed with tons of planning. So I figured I would take advantage of the break that I had. And I just wanted to enjoy my man. You feel me? So we had an incredible trip to Europe. And that's what this episode is going to cover. We flew into Paris and we were only there for a few hours. So I will end the episode talking about Paris. But we took the train to Zurich that same day. So we flew in, we're there for a few hours, and then we took the train to Zurich for 3 nights. We took the train to Frankfurt for an overnight, and then we took the train to Brussels for another 3 nights before taking the train Saturday morning to Paris to fly out that evening. I had the most incredible time, and I promise you, it was with the absolute least planning. The most planning that went into it was accommodations, flights, and fiance took over trains. That was totally him. I am not the logistical guru, so shout out to my man, because I put my brain on simmer when it comes to directions around him. If I got to find my way around by myself, it's a different story. And it's funny looking back, like I navigated over 20 countries by myself and managed to get myself back home. So I'm very capable because I have gotten hella fucking lost abroad. However, I've always found my way back home. But it feels good to not have to do it by myself. It really does. I let him handle all of the food and the directions, the where are we going part. But we I'll start with Zurich. We arrived late that evening, and to our dismay, mind you, they talked about it in the what do you call those reviews, I guess, for the Airbnb, that there were stairs. Like I'm certain that I read about all the stairs, but I did not realize how many stairs. Zurich is, at least where we stayed in Zurich, we stayed in what I would say is a residential area. We stayed right by the University of Zurich, which is kind of like a city campus. Like the buildings were spread out throughout the neighborhood. Um, Y'all, tons of fucking stairs. Tons of stairs, tons of hills. It was a ton of climbing. Honestly, I'm glad that that was the first end of the trip because had that been at the end, never would have made it. Don't think it would have worked. Baby, it was nice to start with a bang. Also, nice to start in the most expensive city. I actually picked up this cute little ditty. This is actually, I think, the only, other than a magnet from Brussels, this is the only souvenir I picked up, but I got this adorable mug from this coffee shop that was uh, about 2 blocks or so from where we stayed, called Natural Bites. Had the best cappuccinos there, and I had cappuccinos, I'd say, in every country. The staff at Natural Bites had everybody else beat, and I had 2 from there, and I tried, an additional cup from, like, another coffee spot that was near the house. They got it. It was so good. It was a little not difficult, but a couple places I don't do dairy milk. I'll do, like, cheese and yogurt and shit like that in moderation, but I don't do milk. So finding some place that had soy milk or almond milk, oat milk, whatever, proved to be a little bit tedious, if you will. It wasn't rocket science, but there were a couple of stops that we made that did not have an alternative. But they had soy milk. They were able to, no, I think it was oat milk because I think it's soy milk that doesn't foam. And they made cappuccino for me. Fiance loved his espressos, and it was delightful. What I appreciated about where we stayed in Zurich was that it was a residential area. And so it was nice to be able to walk around and get a feel for how people actually lived, seeing yards, seeing parking situations, passing by gas stations. Um, what was I guess the flip side of that, though, is that a lot of places close very early. So back to our arrival. After we trudged it up at, like, say, 10, 11 o'clock at night from the train station to the Airbnb, which was maybe a 10, 15-minute walk. And 10, 15 minutes isn't really a big deal. But when you're going up, like, intense hills and, like, really steep stairs and whatnot with luggage after, like, being after traveling all fucking day. And by all fucking day, I mean we had left Friday evening from New York at, I think our flight was like 10:30 p.m. and we arrived, and the area, all 3 countries well, all 4 countries in Europe were like 6 hours ahead. So we left at 10:30 and then we arrived, say, 10 or so o'clock. Girl, I don't remember the exact, but it was about a 7 hour flight. So after being in the airport, flying, navigating, where we're going, coming out of the train station, that walk was a lot. But we dropped off our things and we promptly went to an ale house that was near where we were staying. And we expected, hoped, if you would, that their kitchen would still be open, say 10, 11 o'clock. Unfortunately, it was not. Shout out to Andres. He was mad chill, really kind about it. He directed us down to, say, city center, where he said we were more likely to find some place that might still be open for us to get something to eat. Because the kid was hungry. I was fucking starving. Um, so my partner, thankfully, has never steered me wrong in the pursuit of food ever. And oddly enough, he suggested a barbecue place. Jay had found a spot that was still open and that was open until 1 o'clock. So we were hoping that their kitchen would stay open later. We trudged it all the way down to city center, and pausing here, the weather was pretty decent. I'd say we had mid 40s to like low 40, mid 50s to low 40s for the majority of the trip. Overcast, not a lot of direct sun, pretty cloudy every day, everywhere we went. It rained in every country. But thankfully, the worst rain was in Frankfurt. Zurich, it rained, but it wasn't the type of rain that would stop you from going out and enjoying yourself. We have an umbrella, wasn't the end of the world. So it was comfortable enough to walk at night. It wasn't terribly cold or anything like that. And plus, the kid can layer. I know how to fucking dress, so I was prepared. We ended up walking to a barbecue spot, and I was a little, barbecue in Switzerland. What are we getting ourselves into? But we walked in, first of all, wasn't giving barbecue spot. It was giving like high end bar slash restaurant. It was so nice. The inside was hella schwanky. And so we walk in And I walk up to a gentleman behind the bar. Hi, how are you? Hope you're good and stuff. Please tell me your kitchen is open. Um, and he was just like, for you, I'll open it. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Really appreciate that. We had a long ride. I don't even know if we had gotten into the whole story or if we had just greeted him and just been like, let's give it a shot. Long of the short, left with a friend. Shout out to Tim of Q. You were the perfect angel to greet and welcome us to the first leg of our trip. We were starving, tired tourists who had arrived in a foreign land, if you will. And he was so kind. He seated us and then came, sat down, gave us menus, and was just like, well, what do you want? I was like, what's easy for you? Like, I'm not gonna make this difficult. You doing us a favor. He was just like, well, what do you want? I was like, well, what's easy? Like, I don't want to, do too much. He was like, what do you want? Like, pointing to the menu, like, just pick something. And I'm just like, well, I ended up getting a pasta dish. I think Jay got like a burger or a smash burger. His shit came with a side of mac and cheese, whatever he got. And baby, I am the mac and cheese woman. I am the one that makes the mac and cheese in the family. He had me beat. Granted, he is using cheese from Switzerland, so let's be fair, okay? And they also have like their own like type of noodles that they use. It was kind of like I think rigatoni, but not rigatoni. Y'all, the mac and cheese was insane. And so while it was a barbecue spot, it wasn't barbecue like you're thinking traditional American barbecue in terms of um like smothered meats and heavily barbecued sauce and stuff. It's just that he's got like a 250-pound smoker and he smokes all of his fucking meats there. And so I think did Jay get like a brisket or did he get a burger? I don't know where the fuck it was. It was so fucking good. My pasta was insane. Insane. It had zucchini, it had kale in it. I think it might have had pork in it, like sliced up. I don't know. Turns out Tim, the owner, Albanian dude, sat down, chopped it up with us for like an hour, married 21 years, showed us pictures of his wife, his kids, his son goes to university at Zurich. Tim was a dream. We had such an incredible time. We felt so welcomed. It really felt like this man opened up his home to us. Like he went into his personal kitchen and cooked for us. And of course, Jay being a Bronx boy, Tim being Albanian, they had that Albanian Bronx connection because Albanians be in the Bronx. And so they definitely hit it off on that. And Tim also offered to call the Albanians should Jay fuck with me because apparently I'm his sister now. So we had a fantastic time. Tim, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your hospitality and felt so much love and wish you all of the continued success. And he don't even need my wishes of continued success because Shorty also has a boutique hotel in the city center of Zurich that his wife runs. He has I think, a cafe that he co-owns on Hollywood Boulevard out in LA. So Tim doing good. Tim is doing fan fucking tastic without me, but I hope that he knows that his new American sister loves the hospitality and hopes for the best for him and his family. So Tim and Q in Zurich, way to start the trip. It was fan fucking tastic. The second place that we ate actually was the ale house that we initially tried to go to. The next evening, we ended up going back before the kitchen closed. Andres actually popped in. He was off, but he recognized us. So stopped by, chopped it up. Welcome back. It's a pleasure to see y'all. I'm not working tonight, just kicking it. But, there's a trivia night. If y'all want to participate, there's always space. So they were really kind there. The food was good there. The chicken wing, so I love wings. I fucking love wings. And so, of course, if I'm at an ale house, I'm going to order wings. So I got an order of sweet potato fries and wings. Actually, no, I think that's where Jay got the burger. And I think he had actually gotten like a pulled pork or something at Q. But anyway, He got a really good burger from the ale house, and his came with a side of sweet potato fries. So I ended up eating the most of those fries. But the wings, it's actually the flat and the drumstick attached is one wing. Americans could never. It is very rare that the wing is actually the wing in places here. It's usually the flat or the drum alone is considered the wing. But that was a pleasant surprise. Food was good. Enjoyed that there. Um, Service was nice there. Also, it was, and in terms of diversity, Zurich was not diverse to me. I would say, however, being near the university, well, being like in the middle of the university, we probably got a good portion of what their diverse um, community would look like. There were non-white people around. It just was just like in small amounts. Brussels, on the other hand, wildly diverse. Like I felt like Brussels was more diverse than what I'm used to seeing in Manhattan. I work in Lower Manhattan, so and New York is a very diverse city. I felt like Brussels had a much more diverse population than I felt that I was used to seeing in the city. In the city, it's still mad white people. But in Brussels, it felt like white people were the minority. There were a lot more Middle Eastern people, a lot more, I would assume, tough to call it whether they were Latin American or Hispanic. I don't necessarily know, but definitely Spanish speakers, and tons of Black people. Not just Black Africans, but it looked like a lot of mixed Black people and also just Black people that may not have been African. If like we get it, the diaspora, we understand what I'm talking about, especially those of us from New York, I can say would understand that there are different pockets, right? Like in France, them African men, baby, fine as hell. They were all over that airport. Gorgeous, okay? Beautiful, beautiful men. Very obviously African. But in Brussels, even in no, it wasn't there. But in Brussels, it did not appear that a lot of the Black people were necessarily of African descent. Well, duh, that's how you Black, right? But not Africans in Brussels, just Black people from other places, Black Germans, Black French people, um, Black Belgians, wherever the fuck they from. But it was such a diverse area. Now, we stayed in a very touristy area, but everywhere that we were in Brussels felt like that because where we came in on the train was a bit further. I'd say we ended up walking from the train station in Brussels, but then we ended up taking the there were a lot of Africans in Brussels also, but closer to like the train station. Excuse me. And the cobblestones and it's so much construct it was so much construction. So much construction. Um Wait, am I conflating? I feel like that was Frankfurt. Frankfurt was a lot of cobblestone everywhere. Europe loves some fucking cobblestone. So trying to pull my little carry on wasn't like the move. So back to Zurich. We ended up staying near the University of Zurich, so things were closing pretty early. We ended up making it back to the ale house, had some wings. That was great. The other location that we ate in Zurich was a restaurant called um, Differente. At least that's how I'm going to pronounce it. It was an Austrian steakhouse. We had the most divine meal. We ordered like a steak flambe, like, a steak dinner where they flambe it at the table, right? So they do the whole show of like whoosh, the fire going up and all that jazz. And what was really great about that was that they served it in two sessions. So it was done in two courses so that your meal stayed hot as opposed to giving us all of the meat and everything and we just taking our time to work through it. They cut it up for us, but they cut it up away from the table. So they cut it, show you the cook, like the preparation of the meat. It's just good, you're great, excellent. They take it to the back and then they bring you your plated meal. So it was the steak in smaller portions with the accompanying sides. That was fantastic. The food was amazing. And then when you're done with that, they come out, would you like another 5 or 10 minutes before we bring out the second course, which is the rest of your steak? And it was the same side again. Well, I think it was two sides, which were also good. And so then your second course comes out with the remainder of your steak. We ended up, the bread was even good there too. We ended up getting something as an hors d'oeuvre. Don't remember. The shit was good though. Not hors d'oeuvre, but yeah, like an hors d'oeuvre before the entree. After that, I ended up doing, and I'm usually not a dessert girl, but I knew that I wanted to do like another cup of cappuccino, like a cup of coffee before we left. And so we ended up doing dessert anyway because they had cassis sorbet. Cassis is like blackberry, I believe. And y'all, ugh, divine. It was absolute perfection. It was so good. And I only got like one scoop, but it was like such a healthy size. It was perfection. And then I had the cappuccino. It was a huge cup, which I was very surprised by, but it was good. And then we had a nice, pretty healthy walk back to the Airbnb that we stayed at. The Airbnb was nothing to write home about. It worked for, what we needed. The bed was comfortable, but she had real trash pillows. At this bigly age, pillows matter. And unfortunately, the pillows were very lacking at that location. But we enjoyed the area that we were in. It was nice to get a feel how people actually live in Zurich as opposed to being like in the middle of the downtown area. We ended up going to visit the downtown area. We walked around down there. We saw the bridges in Zurich, where they have, I guess, that river. I'd Googled all that stuff before and was so excited to go and so excited to see, the different churches that are down there. We didn't do any of that shit. But when I tell you we did so much walking, we just walked around everywhere. And unfortunately, a lot of places were closed on Sunday. So we had walked down to the downtown area, but everything was closed. So there was no real, but actually that probably worked to at least my advantage, the less fiscally responsible one of the two of us, because wasn't nothing to spend money on. Most shit was closed. So it was nice though to see what kind of shops were around, different types of restaurants, just seeing the beautiful buildings and like the cute little small streets and shit in the area. So Zurich was a dream, nice and charming. The One note that I would say is that pay attention to the Europe has a lot of cobblestones. So if you are going to be walking with your luggage, just keep that in mind. So even if it's like a 10-15 minute walk, if you've got a lot of baggage, it might just be worth it to take an Uber. We ended up just taking an Uber on the return. No, actually, no. Fiance was feeling very adventurous and he knew that it was going downhill, so it wasn't going to be as difficult. So in Zurich, we did walk back to the train station. I'll speak on the train stations at the end as well when I jump into Paris. So Zurich was a good time. The next stop that we made was Frankfurt. We only had an overnight. I'd say we arrived because we took the train from Zurich to Frankfurt. In this instance, we actually were able to upgrade to first class seats. Well, he had booked first class seats to begin with for this leg of the trip. The train from Paris to Zurich, we had he had purchased too close to our actual like departure date. So that first class upgrade for for like the longest train ride was just the cost just wasn't worth spending. So we ended up just going regular coach. Um and I'll do more commentary on that, but definitely wasn't the most comfortable trip, but the trip from Zurich to Frankfurt was way more comfortable. We ended up arriving, I'd say around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. and we walked from the train station to the hotel, and that's where there was a shit ton of construction. It was nuts. So while it seems like if you're looking at a map, we're like a direct line from the train, it there was a lot of going around because of the construction. So it kind of extended, like, it was, and immediately once you get out the train station, you could feel it's mad janky. It was a real shady area. The people were um also not older people, but there were small subsects of I see you. You feel me? Like, we not dumb. We know what we're looking at. We get the vibes. And there was quite a lot of that there. So that's another thing to consider when you are traveling from uh, transport hubs. A lot of people know that tourists will be arriving and departing from those areas and looking for their destination, or being lost or otherwise distracted. So be aware of that and be around of how you are presenting in these surroundings and in these situations, so that you are best capable of defending your own neck, protecting your own shit, and knowing that, you may be having a great time and in your head, enjoying the sights and the sounds and the smells, but you're also being observed and people are watching that. So keep those things in mind, depending on what you're traveling with, how much shit you have with you. And when you get out the train station, take a quick survey and see what you're getting yourself into. It might actually be a lot worth it, a lot more beneficial to you, or a lot safer or easier for you to just hop in an Uber. Won't say a taxi, I'll say an Uber, because again, you don't know necessarily what the transportation norms are in an area. And one of the things that I do not do is just randomly hop in somebody's car because they say they're a taxi. Don't do that. So best to look into what apps or mobile options there are for hiring a driver, like Uber, or I think Cabify is one of them, Lyft. See if it's available in the country that you are visiting. So we ended up getting to Frankfurt. We stayed at the Capri Hotel. And let me tell you, the front desk staff there was a dream. There were three of them down there, and they were all so kind, so like warm and welcoming. They're the type of people that talk to people. You know what I mean? Um, they're not overly friendly, underly friendly. They are like the perfect amount of, I guess you could say, warm reception without feeling, forced or unnatural. They were so fucking chill. We ended up seeing one of the guys when we came down in the elevator to get coffee later on in the evening, and he was just like, "Oh, hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? How you enjoying the stay so far?" Like, he spoke in the elevator. You know what I mean? Not just like, "Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am," and then just stood there quietly. Nah, he was chill. He was like, "How y'all doing? Everything's cool. You're enjoying everything." Oh, funny story. So we got there and we get into the hotel room, and this was the only hotel that we booked. We walk into the hotel and none of the lights are coming on. We're hitting all the light switches. The TV comes on, but none of the lights are working. Nothing electrical is working at all. And so I'm just like, all right, well, I'm not gonna, do much, but fiance, holler at the front desk because maybe they have to move us. I don't know what's going on. Nothing's working. Turns out you got to put the key in a little slot by the door. And I looked directly at it, saw card or hotel card or whatever on the door, well, next to the doorway on the inside of the room, and was like, "Oh, cute. There's some place to like store your key." I would never put it there. Like, I'll just keep it in my bag. Whatevs. Turns out you got to slip the key in there. That's like how they save energy. Without the key being in the slot, none of the electric works. So I loved it after the fact. But that was super cute that he had to go down to the front desk to figure that out. Shout out to, I want to say her name is Arena. She gave the absolute best recommendations in terms of the downtown area and restaurants to visit. However, we ended up not taking advantage of those because that's where it rained the most. The rain was pretty fucking shitty in Germany. So it for us, the best adult decision, especially it being so soon. It was only like day 4 of the trip. We didn't want to overexert ourselves or put ourselves in a position to be sick or to like fuck up our coats and now be drenched on because it was pretty bad rain. But we ended up walking down to a mall, which was maybe like a city block away. It was not far at all. A mall is a mall is a mall. It was chill. You know, we walked around, looked at the different stores and shit that was in there. There is one sweater that I do regret not buying. I didn't even go in the store because I said we are about to be saving. We're saving now for a wedding. I'm going to be responsible and not even go look at the price of this sweater. I should have went in there and got that shit because, of course, he pointed out, they got a sale sign in the window, and I was like, no, 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 no. I wish I got the fucking sweater at this point. I wish I even looked at the price of the sweater. But anyway, what was cute about the mall was there was a shop in there called American Food Club, and it had all American snacks and drinks and candies and stuff. It was adorable. Had some pretty good ones. Like it had shit like Twinkies, like Fritos, Arizona, um, Warheads. I hadn't seen Warheads, like the little crybaby candies. Like I hadn't seen those in a long time. Like they had a lot of candies and there was cereal. I was expecting something like, I don't know, Frosted Flakes or Wheaties or something that would be there, but it was something else that was kind of like, that's what y'all choose? Like, that's the cereal y'all going up for? Of all the American options, I would not have gone for that. It was something kind of bland or whatever. But mall was chill. I was excited to try KFC because I had always heard that KFC is so much better around the world and superior to what is offered in the States. Well, to my disdain, they didn't have just regular fucking chicken. All they had was like hot wings. And I'm not one to order hot wings from fucking KFC. But in this instance, I did. They were good. It was real chicken. But I wanted to taste legs. I wanted to taste their drumsticks, some thighs, like actual wings and not like smaller hot wings. But went with that. Jay ended up getting a sandwich from KFC that they didn't put in the bag. So that sucked. But thankfully, he is a big boy. So he ended up ordering some banh mi on the way out. And that actually panned out. I ended up getting a lychee iced tea, not an iced tea, but like a lychee lemonade or something from there. That shit was wild. So good. But after that, we went back to the hotel and just chilled. It was rainy, so it was just like a perfect day to be inside. We scanned through German channels and looked at TV for a while, and then ended up finding a Law and Order marathon that we dove into. And so we just stayed inside. The bed was wild comfortable. The room was actually huge. I think he actually got like he got a nicely upgraded room. I think it was like I don't want to say an executive suite, but it was a nicer room. Things were a little bit less expensive in Germany than they were much less expensive in Germany than they were in Zurich. But we had a really nice room and the pillows were so fucking comfortable. And they had a breakfast that we could add for 18 euro per person for the next morning. My favorite part of that breakfast was the fucking yogurt. It was so, so good. I feel like it might have been cassis yogurt or like a raspberry. It was some kind of like blackberry or some kind of yogurt. It was so damn good, y'all. So good. Truly enjoyed that. Couple other options, but we got there late, so unfortunately the eggs were cold. But that was an us thing, not a them thing. But they had bacon, sausage, some other shit. I think he ended up getting rice and some olives. I don't know. I didn't see it, but he enjoyed it. Breakfast was good. We were happy. Took a Uber, hit the train up, took our asses to Brussels. Brussels was gorgeous. I looking back on the photos, it's an I don't want to say it's an easy call to say Brussels was my favorite because both Zurich and Brussels have beautiful architecture. Um, it was just a little different because in Zurich there were a lot more houses, and There were not a lot of standalone houses. There were a ton of townhouses, a ton of buildings, but their buildings were relatively short, if you will. I don't think any of the buildings went over like 5 feet. I mean, 5 stories. And that's just like, and that was few and far between. Most of them were just like townhomes, like up to 2 or 3 floors. Um, so that was a little, it was giving more residential. And then even when we went down to city center where it was just mostly stores and shops, restaurants and stuff like that. Um, Nothing that I can remember. I don't remember like skyscrapers or nothing too tall, but Brussels had a little bit, it was giving more old European charm. Um, I ended up just loving a lot of the lines. It was gorgeous. Really enjoyed Brussels. This whole trip, y'all, we ate around the fucking world. In Brussels, we ended up having Iranian food, we had Venezuelan food, and we had like Taiwanese street food. At least that's what the restaurant was. Guess what they specialized in. The first place we went to was called Caspian. That was where we had the Iranian food. Insane. Fucking insane. My lamb was falling off the bone. You hear me? It was falling off the bone. There we ended up also getting like a, I don't want to say like a shrimp scampi, but it was like a shrimp scampi. And then there was like bread that's kind of like, not like, it's kind of like naan bread. No, because I feel like naan is a little thicker. Um, but it was like a kind of like a flat bread, but it was like tortilla bread. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't a tortilla. But the bread was mad good. But then dipping it in like that butter sauce from the shrimp. Oh my God. Taking a moment here. Insane. And then we ended up ordering, I love a good like cucumber salad. So like cucumber, tomatoes, I think some onion, and then like a nice balsamic or like a vinaigrette kind of y'all, so fucking good. It was insane. The food was incredible. And there is where I discovered that Lipton tea with peach can actually taste like tea with peach and not like saccharin or sugar. It tastes so good. It tasted like iced tea with fucking peach. It was delicious. And it was just like the bottled Lipton tea. So damn good. The rice was nuts. So there was like a berry. I had to look it up to see what it was when I was looking at the menu to see what I wanted to order. And I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was called, but it's like a little red berry, not like a goji berry, but like I remember there was a goji berry, I think, in as a garnish for that cassis sorbet. But it was like a smaller red kind of berry. It added the most incredible flavoring to the rice that I had with my dish. Ugh, y'all, so fucking good. Service was chill. They were all really nice. It was a small staff of guys. I think there was only like one server, and then like he had like assistants, like one guy that was like at the bar, I guess, making drinks for people and stuff like that, but that would come out and, help with plates and all of that whatnot. Um, Insane food. That was the first spot. The second spot that we went to eat was called Caroni. That was Venezuelan food. We got like arepas. I think they're called capachas. We got um sweet plantain. I forgot what they call it out there. Um, we ordered a ton of food and everything was so good. We got like pulled pork. Ooh, I think it was the pulled pork empanadas. Those shits hit so fucking hard. They were so good. And when we left um Caroni, that restaurant, we ended up stumbling. Well, on the way there, we saw it and we decided to visit afterwards. But there was a museum of erotics and mythology of Brussels. So fucking interesting. So it was all of these like erotic figurines, but like from antiquities, from the Roman Empire, from Egyptian Empire, from Persian areas, from China, from Japan, from different countries in Africa. It was insane. There was such a vast collection of erotic art. photos, pictures, figurines, like historical pieces of art, and just seeing how cultures um magnified and glory, and they were like quite vulgar. A lot of them depicting very like accurate detail, and but it was fantastic to be able to see different cultures and how they upheld sex in different ways. Um, and then also different deities and mythological creatures in different scenarios representing different stories. Absolutely fascinating. There were 3 floors to the museum. The main floor probably had like the least to see, giving more administrative, welcoming, hey, this is where you are. But downstairs had a ton of figurines in about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. I think it went up to about the letter I, maybe K. So like maybe 10, 9 or 10 different cases. And then there were still some pieces that were not encased. And each of the cases had like 5 different shelves of like figurines and sculptures, carved ivory, wooden boxes, wooden pieces, different upstairs on the 3rd floor had like fans depicting different sexual um, scapes and just people in general. There were um, pocket watches with sex scenes on them. What else? There were what other kind of things? Walking sticks. There was an entire collection of walking sticks that had like not like what do you? There was a word that I'm looking for. Not like not well, they were graphic, but they were also very beautiful. They were very ornate, hand carved, I carved ivory. There were dildos. There was a strap on. It was insane. But this is like from some country 400 years ago. Um, Little powder boxes that had sexual scenes on them, playing cards from different countries with people in different positions and shit. Fascinating. It was absolutely incredible. Really enjoyed that. We left there and actually went to a cathedral. Um, but sex is of God as well. It is a natural occurring thing, and it is there is nothing wrong with sex or nudity. We ended up going to where is it? Church of Our Lady in Sablon. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I spent a little bit of time in, I guess you can call it prayer. I don't pray traditionally, I guess. At least not the way I was taught to pray, like Hail Marys, Our Fathers, rosaries, and stuff like that. I don't do that. Um, I just feel, I express, I talk to the higher power. Um, So I spent a little time in like there are certain areas in different churches and cathedrals that'll specifically say this is not for visiting, this is for prayer only. So it's really nice to be able to pop into a little corner and just like not really be distracted by people walking around and talking and stuff like that. So took a little time in there. And then we just walked around the church, enjoyed all the beautiful stained glass. There was also someone there that was tuning the piano, so we had a little bit of momentary music for a while, which was nice. There was a bit of hustling, bustle, and I won't forget there was this adorable, adorable little grandma. As we were walking in, she just had the warmest face, little white lady, and she was just trying to speak to us. And I don't know if she was speaking French or if she was speaking, I don't remember if she was speaking French or German. I think it was French if I'm remembering correctly. But then she ended up saying, do you understand what I'm asking? Or do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm just like, oh no, we speak English. And she was asking, oh, the rain. How is the rain? I was like, oh, it's not that bad. It's raining, but it's not heavy. And she just had the warmest, just like, she was really giving energy like, your grandma's happy to see you. My heart melted. She was such a gem. Um, but the church was beautiful. Of course, all of the art and there was like a very intricately carved, I'm going to call it a lectern. I'm assuming that's where somebody reads from if they're not allowed on the altar. Don't know. It was wood, beautiful and very detailed. Even the stonework leading up to the ceiling, of course, the ceilings were gorgeous as well. So, the Church of Our Lady in Sablon, gorgeous. There was also like I don't want to say a park, but like a greenway that was in front of another building that had statues. Forgot who the statues were of, but we walked in there, took some pictures. It was cute. It was nice. What else did we do in Brussels? Brussels, we also, so in Brussels, we stayed by the Mannequin P. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's the peeing boy statue. It was right on our corner. So there are apparently a couple of different lores about the peeing boy statue. But one of them is, I guess the most popular one is that he saved the city or saved the town. Apparently something was supposed to happen. There was going to be an explosion, but the kid had to pee and he peed on like the gunpowder and extinguished whatever pathway to destruction. Whatevs. Um, Shout out to him. And shout out to the people who it means something important to. Not whatevs in a dismissive way, but I can't say that I was very well versed in what everybody was taking pictures of. But that was right on the corner where we stayed. So we stayed in the heart of a tourist area. Personally, to me, it felt like we were in like staying in Soho or in Lower Manhattan in terms of the foot traffic, tons of shops, tons of people looking around, tons of tourist shops in terms of like Belgian, Brussels, where you buy your trinkets, you buy your dish rags, t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, magnets, tons of chocolate shops, ton of chocolate shops. Um, all of that was there. It was also very close to Brussels Town Hall. Now that shit is beautiful. It is a huge open square with these gorgeous ancient looking buildings. And by ancient, I mean more just like architecturally decadent. They were beautifully, beautifully crafted. They looked really nice. It was very vast and open, and especially at night with all the lights on. And it generally rained every day at some point. And so like all of like everything being kind of wet gave it like a nice little look to it also. And that was in the midst of a bunch of shops. There were shops everywhere. I feel like it may have been 2 mile radius of shops around us in any which way you went. Um, Shit, maybe even more than 2 miles. But there was no grid system. That is another thing to note. No grid system out there. So even drive, you could barely tell what streets allowed cars in. We made a pilgrimage, if you will, to a Harley Davidson for my dad. He is a biker. So we ended up taking like I think it was like a 30-minute, 40, it ended up being almost an hour because all the fucking traffic. Was not expecting there to be a lot of traffic. But the Uber driver, ooh, I forgot his name, but I wrote it down someplace. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. He was such a gem. He was mad chill. And he actually ended up telling us about a rep- yes, his name, Raphael. He was a Romanian gypsy. Those were his words. Um, and he was telling us about Romanian food, specifically in London. But then he was saying that the guy has, like, he's a Romanian guy that's basically got this. It's called Pesco Bar. Genius play on like PESCOBAR, like Pablo Escobar, but it's Pesco Bar because I feel like it's all seafood. Genius. But apparently he's got the lock on these restaurants there in a lot of different places in the world. He was such a gem. He was mad chill. It was really cool talking to him. And he took us out to the Harley dealership so that I could get some merch for my dad and my godfather. Um, but he was mad chill. Really shout out to you. You made that trip very bearable. No grid system. It's kind of like their streets are everywhere. You can't tell, like you make a turn and oh, we can drive this way. oh, okay, this isn't just like an alley, it's an actual street. So me, D, I would never drive overseas. Not doing it. Um, I guess that's another reason why New York driving, it can be so harrowing in certain areas with people doing wild, crazy shit, because in other places of the world, it's kind of the norm. So we ended up going to the Harley store out there to pick up some stuff. The Brussels Town Hall area was decadent. We also went to the Royal Palace, which actually just looked like a big courthouse. Honestly, it was vast, but it didn't look as ornate. I would have expected that the town hall would have been the Royal Palace, and that the Royal Palace would have been the town hall. That's the difference in the way it looked to me. There was also a really large park across the street from the Royal Palace. However, it was dark. It was at night, so we wasn't walking through them people park at night. Um, I wouldn't suggest that you walk through parks at night either, unless you are familiar with said park or area and know that it is a relatively safe space to be. Zurich felt hella safe. It felt like we could, if it were there, we might could have walked through the park at night. We wouldn't, but it's something that we could have done. Um, but there, it also had a ton of construction. There was a ton of construction in Brussels also. So there was a lot of like, those temporary gates that have like, I guess, cloth coverings over the chain link fence, and then some areas with like wood up. So we're not trying to walk through a park where can't anybody see us either. So I'm sure it's gorgeous during the day, but we didn't get to experience that. On the walk back, there was a really beautiful view of the city out in the distance. It was just so pretty to look at. Again, the architecture in Brussels, a dream. Truly enjoyed that. I think that is most of. Oh, and that last night, y'all, I think my favorite meal, I don't know how I could forget, this spot called Lil Bao. Lilbao is how I believe it's spelled. Taiwanese street food, or Taiwanese inspired street food. That shit was so good. Turns out the whole shit was vegan. We got dumplings. We got wonton, fried wonton. I got calamari. Plot twist, it wasn't actually calamari, because I was inhaling the shit and Babe was just like, "Babe, that's vegan." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Wait a minute. So that means it's not calamari, because calamari, that's an animal." The young lady came over. I said, "Miss, what is this?" She was like, "It's actually like a root vegetable." Blew my fucking mind. I didn't give a fuck what it was. The shit was fan fucking tastic. So good. Everything hit. It hit. He ended up getting, it wasn't a it wasn't a banh mi. It was something else, like with the soft kind of bread. Y'all, the food was fantastic. If you are ever in Brussels, 10 out of 10 highly recommend Lil Bao. 12 out of 10. I want to say that that may have been my favorite. Mm, I don't know. Q, that hospitality, and that food was so good too. Yeah, I was just so surprised at how good the food was. And it's because we got ethnic food basically wherever we went. Um, to me, that was why. But everything was delicious. But Lil Bao, baby, them dumplings, chokehold, so good. So that was great. Really enjoyed Brussels. We did a ton of walking around. We were in the heart of everything, in the middle of like downtown. So thankfully, we didn't have to walk to get anywhere. And in the inverse to what was going on in Zurich with everything closing early, shit was open mad late. And by mad late, I mean like maybe 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Some things were open later than others. Some things did close earlier, but we always had options of things that were late. The only thing that we did not get to do that we wanted to do was Lebanese food. There was like a Lebanese Syrian spot that we really wanted to go to that we ended up just time wise didn't really go to. Another thing I enjoyed about this vacation was that we slept late most every day. Instead of like trying to be up at no 9 o'clock and just getting out and hitting the street and walking around and seeing the sights, we just took it in. at our own pace. I initially went into this trip thinking that we were going to do a day trip in Liechtenstein. We were going to do a day trip in Luxembourg. We were going to do a day trip to Bruges while we were out there. Canceled all of that because the trains. So here's where I'm going to talk about the trains. Um, they were great. However, it's still a part of traveling. And the travel part of travel is my least favorite part. Even though you are just sitting there, the same way you're just sitting on a plane, it can be so fucking tiring. Navigating these stations, everything's in a different language. So there are huge boards at all the stations, similar to at an airport, where you see the destination, the gate number, the time it's leaving. Some of them show whether it's on time or not. It's a good time. Um, but it can still be a little confusing because they're in a different language. But thankfully, most of the train stations had people stationed around that you could just walk up to and ask questions of. Um, the most confusing station was the last one that we went to, and that was, I think, Brussels Midi. That one had so many corridors and pockets and upstairs and down. That one was confusing. Most of the other train stations had the metro below, and then like the I don't want to say cross country, but the trains that went further, like the high speed trains, those trains were street level, so like above ground. Um, Pretty simple to navigate. The Paris trains were the only bookends that we did not travel first class. The rest of the trains we did travel first class. And what was cool about those is that you have someone come to your seat and take a food order. So you can order beer, wine, food, sodas, like hot food, prepared food, which was really cool. I will say, however, I think that the trains like to and from Paris did have a food car, but neither of us felt compelled to get up to go explore that. Um, I was saying that the first train ride was quite uncomfortable. So when you first get on the train, and them trains in and out, okay, there's no time to fucking play. Be standing with all of your shit ready to go when that bitch pulls into the station. Cause baby, you got like 3 minutes for everybody to disembark and then for everybody to get that ass on the train. They be moving. Um, but I will say that the Paris train, it less space. So I was quite cramped. We had the carry-on that was on the like the luggage rack that's at like the beginning or the ends of the trains by the doorways. And unfortunately, the overhead space was not large enough to fit our larger duffel bags. We both have Patagonias. I believe mine is a 40 liter, his is a 70 liter. Highly recommend them, love them. But there was no space to put them overhead without them being very precarious and possibly falling on someone. So we ended up trying to put them under the seat, but that meant that they were just at the foot of the seat. So everything was stacked up to probably like the seat height, if not a little bit taller. Oh, actually, it was taller because then we had his book bag on top of all that. So the whole trip, my legs were over his lap. Um, not very comfortable for the first round, but everything else, the other trains, like the trains from Zurich to Frankfurt, say, and I think then Frankfurt to Brussels. We and mostly I want to say probably from Frankfurt to Brussels, if I'm remembering most clear. That's when we kind of put two and two together. We could fit the fucking my rolling luggage, my away carry on, so that you have a point of reference. I have an away rolling carry on sized suitcase that should fit under the seat on the train. And then there was more than enough overhead space that we can put both a 70 liter and a 40 liter Patagonia bag up at our overhead. There are little hooks that slide across the windows that you can hang your coat on. There were some really nice, the most of the trains that we took also were during the day, except for that first train. So we were able to see a lot of the countryside, a lot of the scenery. Some of the scenery was like nothing really. But others were cute little towns, you know, pastures, saw some, I think he pointed out some goats, but I didn't hear him at first. So then I missed the goats. I think we passed cows once. So it was cool. Nothing idyllic or like otherworldly that I can remember being, available to see. But I also slept for a lot of it because that's the kind of person I am. I sleep during transport. um so Paris, we really just did bookends, a few hours on each side. Shout out to Anne, my best friend Dell's other best friend, who gave extensive and detailed Paris recommendations, as well as Mina from last week's episode, who gave incredible recommendations for Paris. We did not have the bandwidth to take any of those recommendations. Unfortunately, with all the travel, we only had a few hours in Paris and we had all of our luggage. Dragging all that shit around wasn't an option. I initially found some luggage hold, but then we'd have to still walk like 5 minutes there, process all of that, and then we would have had maybe 4 hours, 3 hours to walk around. To us, after all the moving around that we did, considering especially on the front end, Paris, that was the longest flight in, and then we just sat in the train station for 4 hours basically, and people watched. We got something to eat, and we sat the fuck down. But in the midst of that sit the fuck down, there was a Sephora in that train station, and so I went into Sephora knowing that we were going to take our engagement photos in Zurich, and I'd forgot to bring makeup. I'm not a makeup girl, but I wanted a little mascara and I wanted a little a little powder just to not be yellow and pale or to see like the dark circles around my eyes. I wanted to, finish, just be a little more put together, if you will. And shout out to Susan. She was a dry I want to say Parisian or German. I don't remember. But when I tell you she was kind of dry, but in the chillest, sweetest way. She warmed up towards the end when she realized how grateful I was. She found the perfect shade match, white woman too. She found the perfect complexion mask. And she also found, she was trying, like, she was giving me, like, the stuff that you put on first, like not a plumping or something, but kind of plumping. I don't know if it was retinol or some, I can't remember what it was, but it was fantastic product. She wasn't wrong, but the shit was like $100, $120 for like 100 milliliters. And I was just like, miss, I'm not doing this when I get home. Like, I don't wear makeup. So I'm definitely not spending no $100 on one fucking product and 100 milliliters of it. I know it might be worth it. I know it may be for the best. Basically, it was one of those things. Collagen, that's what it was. I think it had like collagen in it. And I was telling her, miss, I understand not doing it. So she led me right to the Sephora Foundation. She got me like, I was like, I'm not doing the brush. That's too much for me. I need like not a sponge. I didn't want a makeup sponge either because I don't really do well with that. I wanted old school. Like, what is the powder thing that usually comes in the compact? The shit my nana used to use. Like, that's what I need. That is my makeup speed. I am not blending. That's not. I'm not her. So there was another woman that helped find that for me, and then she was like, in French, she asked Susan, like, what about your eyebrows? I was like, oh, baby, don't worry about that because I can't get them right. If I try to do them, they're going to look crazy. So you trying to show me, great. Appreciate your dedication, that kindness. Not going to, I'm not going to do them. So we found a mascara and she ended up, I had to ask her a couple of times, like, I hear you on this collagen. I'm not, I think it was like Clarence or something. It was like one of those brands that I know you legit, but I'm not spending on it. So she found me a Sephora option. I know it's not here, it's in the bathroom. But it is I think it's a retinol alternative, but it's natural. Love the shit. Absolutely love it. Great for moisturizing. I put that shit on every damn day, twice a day. Do it in the morning and at night when I wash my face. Love it. And then I follow up once that absorbs into my skin. And then follow up with actually shout out to Good Molecules. Good Molecules had sent me some products a couple months ago and I've been using them. I love, there's like a green bar that I wash my face with at night. Dig it. And there's also like a They also sent like a moisturizer, like a AM, PM, just a general moisturizer in like a green tube. I like it. It's just this winter air has been real harsh on my skin. So as much as I enjoy it, like I still feel a little dry some days, but doing the two together has absolutely helped with that dryness. And then Good Molecules also sent a toner that I liked. I haven't been using the toner for a while, but I was using it for a while. But anyway, skincare is coming together. I think my skin is clearing up nicely. Very pleased with that. I tend to wear a mask often at work. Excuse me, and I take the subway. So baby, I am always in a mask on that train. Don't play with me. Um so wearing a mask a lot has, not been the greatest on my skin, but I've been trying to change them more frequently and to make sure that I wash in the morning and the afternoon. Hope you enjoyed that little segue about skincare. But shout out to Susan for helping me find the perfect color foundation. And I ended up wearing makeup a little bit more often. Every once in a while, when we would just kind of go out, I put a little powder on, you feel me? Put the mascara, finishing spray, because I knew better. I knew to ask for that so that I didn't get makeup all over my stuff. A little bit of finishing spray, and we're out. And I'm talking like the very natural look. Like it worked for me. It was perfect for me. I felt like I looked exactly like myself. And that is what I want. I love my face. I love the way I look. One of my favorite compliments is always, you are so naturally pretty. You are so pretty without all that makeup. I don't got nothing against makeup because y'all be doing the work. Y'all be doing the damn thing and y'all look fantastic. It's just not for me. I understand that it's fun. I used to have fun playing with it in the house, but I cannot commit to doing that every day. So it's not a me thing, but I really enjoyed what she presented to me and what I purchased because it is in alignment with how I like to present. So I get the finishing look that I want without not looking exactly like myself. I look like me, but brighter. I look like me, like I went outside in the sun and like I actually have eyelashes. So shout out to Susan. She was a dream. Um, and that was on the way in at the beginning of the trip. And then at the end of the trip, we ended up again just sitting and chilling. We got out the train station and I was fucking hungry. And the first thing I saw was a Popeyes and said, bet, let's try Popeyes in France. But the one right across the street from the train station, we knew better than to go to because the shit looked wild packed from across the street. He ended up finding a Popeyes that was maybe like a 10-15 minute walk away, which was beautiful because then that put us further away from the train station and it was also near a park. So we went to that Popeyes, got some food, went to the nearby park, ended up being in another relatively touristy area because I don't know if it was a basilica or something. We sat there. It was right out. There was like a kids' playground. So we sat and watched kids like be kids. They were adorable. We ate the Popeyes and shout out to the Popeyes by us because it tasted just like the Popeyes I get at home. But we know what Popeyes to go to by us. Um, but it was Popeyes. It was chicken. It was good. Sat, we just people watched and then we called the Uber from that area as opposed to down by the train station. Um, Hoping that it'd be easier. It was. My man was actually just parked on the block. So we walked down from the park, got in the Uber, and took our asses to the airport. And we ended up sitting at the airport for like 4 hours. But again, tired, tons of luggage, and nobody was trying to navigate the luggage hold. Unfortunately, we didn't look for the luggage hold the first time we went to it actually wouldn't even matter because we ended up traveling out of two different stations. I think we were at Gare de Lyon the first time and then Paris Nord on the return back home. So um thank you to Anne and Mina for those incredible recommendations, but we're going to have to do them next time around. So that was for the most part the trip. We had a fantastic time. I enjoyed taking it slow. All we did was walk and eat, and that was perfect for me. I am at the stage where I don't necessarily need to do too much. We didn't have a single tour booked, we didn't have a single anything booked. It was reminiscent of our New England road trip where The only thing that I think I booked was like audio guided tour for Salem. Other than that, it was really just being with my man, taking in the sights, and eating well. We had an incredible time. Brussels, we ended up stumbling on a lot of different things that we can do to entertain ourselves in the area, and absolutely loved it. I would say of the three places, I would recommend Brussels first, Zurich second, and damn, it's tough because the people in Zurich were so like between Tim and then Andres. Tim really was like that anchor of, okay, yeah, Zurich. Tim made Zurich for us. And then also just being in a like a community kind of space. And even the people at Natural Bites, I ordered my mug, and when I got home to unwrap it, there were cookies in the mug. He had wrapped it up so nicely. I got a ton of stickers that came with it. Like, I'm an easy Sal. I like little shit like that. So Zurich and Brussels, totally fave. I'm looking forward to going back to Germany because we still have those restaurant recommendations, and I would love to take. I want to say it's Arena or Arena. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she was a gem, such a sweetheart. So I would love to go back. And same with Paris. I've got these incredible recommendations to try out, but it the time was what it was. Unfortunately, we didn't have as much time to explore like we may have wanted to. But overall, lean into your curiosities. Food is our thing, so we leaned into food. We explored and was able to experience the world through our taste buds while we were out there. Weren't disappointed by any of the foods that we had, and also we followed our gut, followed our intuition, and what we needed at that time. When we needed to rest, we rested. When we needed to get out and move and we wanted to enjoy the air, we did. Speaking of air, the air quality in Brussels was T Rash. On the weather app, it specifically said bad air quality, terrible air quality. Like the scale and the numbers were kind of different in different countries, but the sliding scale, that little line dash on the line, completely understood that. That was all in English when I read it. It was trash. So I don't know if it was a mix of construction or poss- just air pollution because they're not coastal. It's just a ton of traffic and a lot of shit going on and a lot of people. I don't know what it is. There was a section that broke down what the fuck was in the air. My degree did not cover that. I just know that the air quality was bad and I could tell. Like, just my throat itched and it just I always kind of felt ugh. But when we left, cleared up. So it was always a, oh my God, please, I hope I'm not getting sick. Oh shit, please, I'm not getting sick. I'm just like, as I age, my allergies have just been getting worse. I am triggered by a ton of shit in the air, dust, mold, the trees, grass, so many things. Sucks, but life, right? So hope you enjoyed that little review. As a reminder, baby girl, newly engaged, so very happy. Um, so excited. I don't know what that is exactly going to mean for the release schedule in terms of new episodes. So I just want to slide in a little caveat here. Please be gentle with me. Please be patient with me. It is a really exciting time for me. 2025, I'm telling you, is such a big year for me. There is so much more to come. But I also have a full time job. This is a passion project of mine. As much as I'm hoping you love and think so bigly and highly of the podcast, I do this of love and it costs me money. I don't earn from this. So I have a full time job and now a ton of other responsibilities and things to be working on. So I may be toying with how frequently episodes come out. Haven't figured it out yet. I'm not going to stop putting out episodes, but I feel like I'm going to lean more into when I have guests. So I have still a few emails to go through of pitches for people to join us and converse and fall into the love of not traffic, of travel. Um, to kind of go through. So I do have some guests on the horizon, and just wanted to throw it in there. I haven't really worked out the details or smoothed things out as to what exactly I'm going to do, but this is also just an operation of one. I don't have co-hosts. Um, it's just me. So just wanted to throw that out there that I love doing this, but it is work and I do have quite a bit of other work. So bear with me. I will likely make any, if I do anything, I would say like in writing. Like if I go to write anything, it'll be either in the form of a newsletter or on my Facebook. And those links are in the description box. So if you care to be updated or alerted when and how things change, please join the newsletter and follow on Facebook because I feel like even though I don't update Facebook often at all, I feel like that's where there is a decent pocket of you guys. So, yeah, stay up to date. I appreciate all of you guys here. I really enjoyed that last week. And I'm looking forward to seeing where things go in the future. There's a lot going on for me, and I can't wait to share all those things with you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. All right. Bye.